because I know some of these guys have been to Tahiti. Some of you have been a long time ago, so you might find it's a bit different. And then some of you probably would like to go there. So I'll try and tell you a little bit about what I'm going to do. I've got to be careful not to be in front of this thing here. So a little bit about where the hell it is. Everyone keeps saying it's Fiji. That's 3,000 miles from where I am. You know, if you're looking for Fiji, don't come to Tahiti. A little bit about the boat we've got, some of the distances and the interesting stuff about navigation, and then a little bit about the islands and how different they are. And then, you know, it's the Royal Thames, so I'm going to do a section on eating and drinking. And then what happens when it goes wrong, a bit about the people, sea life, and some recommendations. And then the rally. And my God, the Peterses have already booked their boat. I mean, I haven't even fixed the date yet. When you got a new rear Commodore sailing, things happen fast, you know. So a little bit about where we are. So this is French Polynesia. Here is Fiji. That's 2,800 miles. So we're quite a long way from South America and a hell of a long way from New Zealand. And you've got the Cook Islands, Fiji, Tonga, some of you have been to, I was just hearing. So our boat is imported into French Polynesia, so we're there for a bit. The winds go east to west, so nobody goes that way unless they're stupid. So we'll be drifting west at some point, but right now, this is the core of French Polynesia. So you've got Tahiti here, the Society Islands, which I know some of you have been to. Then you've got all of the Tuamotus, there's 80 odd atolls, and then up here the Marquesas. I'm not talking about them because I haven't been there yet. I'm going there hopefully in April. The trouble is that wind, you know, and I'm a cruiser, so we don't go upwind. I'm going to be hauled out in Tahiti in May, and then we're going to fly back there in September, and then we'll be ready for the rally in April, May next 18 months time. So that's a bit about the Pacific. Oops. Okay, now we're not getting, here we go. So a little bit about, you know, Cook came there. I mean, the guy entered what is now Cook Bay, you know, at night with a boat with no engine, and he didn't have any charts. So it's pretty amazing. And I've entered there with my engine giving trouble and at night, and I was shitting myself. So what Cook was doing, I don't know. So, and then some of the other passes are much worse than that. So then you've got the Gambia Islands, some of you heard about, and the rest. So a little bit about the boat. It's an Oyster 49. They only built 16 actually, but one sank. That's not a good omen. She's a twin, two double berths, and then what we grandly call the crew cabin, which has no crew in it, but it's full of junk. And we've got, you know, some of the things we like about it. We've got davits, solar panels. I've now got solar panels all over the back as well. We've got solar panels all over the bloody thing, because guess what? You get a lot of sunlight, and we like to use a lot of power. And my daughter, who said she was coming tonight, but I just rang her, she forgot it was tonight. She's an ambler. I think she thinks that when we're sailing along, we are connected to the mains, because I hear the shower pump just running and running and running. So I have put in a monster water maker. These are 42-inch tubes instead of the 24, and I've got two of them. I make 180 litres an hour. Those of you that know Anthony Ward with his Oyster 885, he came to Maria. He was down to a litre of water a day because neither water maker was working. So when he said to me on the phone, "What's that noise in the background?" I didn't want to say, "What's my water maker making 180 litres an hour?" I thought that might be a little bit unfair. We've got lithium batteries now. I've just put in bigger ones. Lithium batteries are dropping in price like anything. I highly recommend lithium. You could take them right down to 5%. I'm guaranteed for 15,000 cycles, and my old lead acid were, 500. The new ones are really safe. The LiftPo 4s, all this stuff about Tesla fires, ignore that. These are completely different. Solar panels, I've got 900 watts now, so we generate most of what we need, except that at night, or if the girls want the bloody aircon on. But I hate aircon because I don't like the feel of the cold cabin, and then you come out and you sweat like a pig when you come out. We got a boiling water tap because we don't like kettles and things sliding around with hot water in them. Induction hob. We try and do everything electric because gas is a problem to get hold of, and it's bloody dangerous. And we can make electricity, so why use gas? We've got a bread maker. I don't like all that faffing around with ovens and things. Lots of diesel, lots of water. I don't like to let the water drop below, 400 liters. I start to get nervous. You're in the Pacific. There is nowhere to get water except one marina. You are on your own. So you fail on the water, you're in trouble. So I like to keep that up. We've got a fridge freezer. Starlink. Oh, what a game changer. I get Richard Powell going, "Are you away?" I go, "Oh yeah, I'm back next week." You could do everything except attend the dinners. The dinners are quite difficult on Starlink. And the new Starlink minis are fantastic. It's all one unit. You just plug it in and play. I got one tip on Starlink. We were on a new plan called suspension, which means that you can monitor your boat, but you're not supposed to be able to use the Starlink. It costs £5 a month. When I got on board, we thought, well, we'll just try it out. It's called low priority unlimited data, £5. Worked brilliantly. I could do video calls, everything. So don't bother with all the expensive plans. Just stick to that one. That was our feeling. We do a lot of night sailing for reasons I'll explain. So and you need to be able to brief quickly. And I've often got people on board who are not great sailors. So we need to be able to get that main in. It's a big, powerful main, and you don't want that out there with a 40-knot squall. And we got power winches with my new toys, the remote controls on the winches, so I can actually reef in and let out all in one. So, because we're all into single watches, what's there to do? Nothing. So, and then radar we use to get the squalls, and our autopilot, well, we never steer. We're not racers. What's that wheel thing? The modern brain on that, when you're downwind on the swells, it's fantastic. It steers so much better than the human. So, and then, Steve will recognize this, the clothing we take, well, that's just here, sort of 2 pairs of shorts and a t-shirt, and that's all the spares. So that's the luggage we take out every time. I've got a spare pump for every single pump on that boat, because my philosophy is if you've got the part, you'll find a yachty that'll fix it. I don't have the skills. I'm useless at electricity, but I can find a yachty. We had one problem with a bit of electricity. I phoned this guy up. He's an American electrician, brilliant. He said, "Oh, just walk me through your system." So I just did a video call with him, and he went, "I don't like to look at that box there. Open that box." So I opened the box. He went, "That's where your problem is. Unscrew those and screw them back up." Did it? Oh, everything sprung to life. So I thought, that's what I need on board. So a little bit about the geography. You've got Tahiti here, and Maria. And then the Tuamotu is 250 miles. That's actually Fakarava. Some of you might have seen Blue Planet. That's where they filmed all the wall of sharks. They won't tell you that because they don't want you going there. But that's where it is. That's our favorite spot. And then the Society Islands the other way. So Maria here, which that one with Cook's Bay just there. And then all the way down to Mopiti, which is our other favorite spot. Trouble is they're 700 miles apart, which is a bit of a pain. So that's the. So here we go. This is the first time we enter the pass. This is in Tuamotu's, and the water was coming out at 6 knots. We thought it was slack tide, and we were going nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. So we had to creep to the sides, and that's what it's like. It's tough. So then watch this. This is Rangiroa. This is someone we met. This guy in a Halberg. He's naval. Well, I hope nobody's naval. You know, lost 2 dinghies on the way over in the Pacific. One was found by an oyster on an oyster rally mid-Pacific, and returned to him. I mean, what are the chances of that? You know. Anyway, here he is. We said we're coming in on slack tide earlier. So listen to this. Rangiroa to Puta Pass with the dolphins. You're exaggerating when you said he's coming in. He was there a long time. I mean, he wasn't going to get in. We were having drinks watching this. I mean, it's quite funny. We got into the pass and the dolphins were jumping all around us. So we slowed down. And then we could hear on the radio everyone going, "Oh, Kaizen's having terrible trouble getting in. Let's not go in yet. Let's not go in yet." And I was like, no, we're only at half revs. You know, you need to get in because the tide's about to change. And so because he waited, he's naval, you know, he waited till time to salute, and then he comes, and it's too late, and he didn't get in. So then I'm going to show you a piece of video that I didn't make because this is not a pass where you do videoing. Charles Glanville tried to video, but he nearly got thrown out of the boat in the chop. So this is a guy who, watch this.
This is a video of Maupiti in the Society Islands of French Polynesia, and a look at the pass and what you might expect on the run. Maupiti has 1 pass and it's open to the prevailing swell. So the advice we were given was to have less than 2 meters of swell forecast, less than 20 knots of wind, ideally not out of the south, and to arrive at about midday when the current in the pass is at its weakest. Approach the pass from a quarter of a mile out. The first range marker will take you on 004 degrees true, the second range marker onto 017 degrees true. The markers are painted white, red, white, and you line them up so that they become one. On the day we arrived in Maupiti, we had a 1.8 meter swell forecast. The wind was 15 knots out of the northeast, and we arrived at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and found less than 3 knots of current in the pass. One piece of local advice we were given is to stick to the centre of the channel rather than favouring one side or the other, as the red and green lateral markers are often quite a long way up onto the reef. Having arrived in such benign conditions, we did wonder what all the fuss was about, but a small increase of half a metre in the swell caused waves to break clean across the pass. This swell of 2.5 metres with very little wind would have caused real problems for a yacht trying to enter or leave. Here we have a forecast 3.5 to 4 metre swell, which is not only causing waves to break across the pass, the current outflowing is probably going at about 8 or 9 knots. The increased current is caused by prolonged swell breaking over the reef and actually raising the water height inside the lagoon. With only one pass, all this water has to outflow through it. But if you time it well and get a good weather window, those that make it to Maupiti will find a fantastic island, certainly one of our favourites in the society.
So once you get in, this is the view inside it. So it's worth it. For those of you coming on the rally, this is definitely got to be on your list. That's where we are, absolutely on our own, not another boat in sight. And just here's where all the manta rays come. So the manta rays come to be cleaned, as they call it. So they come and they just swim in the current, and the fish then feed off all their leeches and their impurities. So you get an hour of them just lolloping around, and then they're off to go feed. And it's 15 feet across. Some of these monsters, they're completely harmless. They all they eat is plankton. But so that's the view from up on the hill. I mean, no one there. Fantastic. But probably one of our favorite spots. So then entering the atoll. So once you're inside, then things change again. Yes. Oh dear. Oh, I can't get that off. Can you hear now? Try that. How's that? Oh, okay. So once you get into the atoll, then it all changes again. And what you're looking for is these nasty little chaps here called bommies. This is Fakarava. They're fine, in good light. You can see those beautifully. But when the light goes and the clouds come over, oh boy, they are not there. And they're not, 50% of them are marked. The trouble is, it's the other 50% you want to watch out for. So you've got to be careful. You get terribly relaxed with this wonderful weather and all that, and then you go where we had our boat hauled to put copper coat on. Then we got a view of what happens when it all goes wrong. So my wife, you got to keep looking. I sit normally on the pulpit with that's the porn video that comes next. I sit on the push bit with a remote control, and I can just sit there and up and down a bit, 10%. They're usually quite solid, and I mark them and I send them into Navionics because of course nobody charts this stuff. I mean, this is 37 miles long, this atoll. We were sailing on a broad reach through the atoll, and I had Charles Glamble, as you know him, and I said, God, this is champagne sailing. He went, no, this is Krug. This is Krug. So once we were outside, the mood changes on the boat. You could see Sally's got a beer tin, the Edwardses are reading their book, and sunshades are on. We don't need to look out, because you've got 200 or 300 miles, and there's going to be nothing there. And I don't know whether you noticed, but on the charts there, we're talking about 3,000 meter contour line. We're not going to hit the bottom. So a little bit about anchoring. So anchoring is very different out there. You've got this problem with bommies, and I'm going to get out of the way here. But this is our anchor. I filmed this myself. So look at this bloody bottom. And what happens is you've got to really get the anchor into a piece of sand, and then we try and suspend it all the way. And we've only had two scary times. Both times when the wind completely dropped. And so, they all got tangled up. And one time we couldn't get the anchor up and it was too deep. We had to get a diver. And the other time it was too shallow and it was at night and the whole lot tangled up. And I always set an anchor alarm. And I woke up and there was 1/2 meter below us. And boy, I got that engine on quick. And we couldn't, you can't find a new anchoring spot at night. So we just left. Off we went to Raiatea. So that's a interesting system. I think it's great for like seagrass in the Solent. This is just because as you can see here, when the boat's not pulling, then all of this just does nothing. And but then when it starts to pull, none of it touches the bottom because it's pulling out straight. And we have a different system we've tried by the way, we've tried lots of things and we got lots of things wrong. But one of the things, we've changed our anchoring depth. So we do 2.5 times the depth plus 15 meters, which means that we let out more chain in shallower water, but less chain in deeper water. And we were told by some yachty German who does theories on these things that was a better system than 4 times or whatever, Of course, we put out a bit more if we're going to be in wind. But we now put an anchor, we put a buoy on the end of the the anchor, and then one about 1.5 times the depth, and then spread them out along the chain depending how much we've got. There's a good view of. I think I win the leg award, but I put that up there because you see you got to get that anchor into that sand. Sal and I have headsets, and she's, we don't let the anchor out with the winch. We let it out with a handle. So as soon as she says we're over a sand spot, we let it go whack and let the whole lot out. It's quicker. So moving on to Tahiti. So this is what Tahiti looks like. So a reef all round it, very mountainous. We're anchored, our mooring is just up off the picture. We've got a permanent mooring there. We're an imported Polynesian boat now. And yeah, there's no roads on the interior at all, but it's where most of the population live. So, there's a markets and a wonderful restaurant there. That's Maria in the background. If any of you ever go to Tahiti, O Belvedere is the restaurant, and it's bloody amazing. It's the second best restaurant. In the best restaurant, we came across 2 lots of Thames members and a squadron member. So that tells you it is a pretty good restaurant. So the Tuamotus, this is Fakarava. So again, look at the bommies, but look at the sea outside can be pretty rough, but inside very calm, fairly remote. I mean, there are more boats now than there used to be. So, but this is a place called Tau, which is the next door, and so there's a few boats, but you've got plenty of space to choose. That's my underwater camera. I love playing around with that. It's what you'd expect from Polynesian islands, what you might have in your head, but it's just that and a touch better. So there's no eating out. You're making your own fun. That's Nicola Glanville and the pig. That's the pig. Sorry, oops. I'll turn my mic off. And yeah, they eat coconuts, and they're, as you can see, fairly tame, and we love it up there. Then on our way back from Tuamotu, you come across this extraordinary island called Makatea, which had 3,500 people living on it in just after the war, before the war and after the war, because it's all made of phosphate, and phosphate was a huge export then. And then Charles de Gaulle declared it. They wanted to start the nuclear testing, and he didn't want them all there. And sort of synthetic phosphate was coming along, and now there are 12 people live there. So it's quite amazing. It's very deep anchoring. It's a bit scary. So we had to anchor right. We're actually on a buoy next to and this is all the old works here. All the railway trains and the digging equipment, and it's just all abandoned. It's so weird. And then on to the Society Islands, which some of you all know. So you've got Huahine. I know Steve loves Huahine, so do I. All the way down to Bora Bora and Maupiti down there. So quick look at Maria, which is only 17 miles away. So it's although this passage here is quite rough at times. And, if you've just got people on board, they don't really enjoy that bit. But we went there at Christmas the first time. Never again. It's too bloody hot. And also Sal likes a bit of snow. She's a Scot. So you're not going to find snow at 32 degrees. And but it's interesting. These are the 2 bays, and then you've got all this wonderful little tracks here. You go along a dinghy, and you watch rays and stuff, which I'll show you. When Anthony Ward said, "What should I take out with me?" I said, "Look, whatever you do, you need spare outboard propellers, because obviously there are those who have hit at the coral, are gonna hit a coral, or they're just liars. And he said, I said, what are you waiting for to be shipped? He said, oh, a propeller. I said, I told you to take a propeller. So, because you come along here and you just, at some point you're going to hit the coral. Just get used to it. So this is a drone shot. This is the main anchorage, but we don't like going there. So we whiz along, and I'll show you what it looks like when you can't see where you're going. So I'll just try and stop that. There. Oh, bugger. I can't. Anyway, so that little anchorage is that. That's what it looks like on the chart. And that's what it looks like, when the light goes. And of course, if you were being a bit dim, you might think you could just roam around anywhere here. You absolutely can't. And this is just my favorite anchorage in Moorea. So then you've got Tataroa, where Anthony Ward actually took Sophie for her 60th birthday. We don't go there because you can't get in through the pass. It used to belong to Marlon Brando. It's a nature reserve now. And then Huahine. So I know Steve's been to Huahine. So there's our boat just there. We're on the west side, and you can see all the coral. Of course, it's really crowded. Not another boat in sight. And that's the west side there. So we have to come in this pass and wiggle all the way down here. And I mean, it's uncharted, but you could see the coral. Look at the color of it. And that's on the other side near that restaurant you like, Steve, called Chez Tara. Yeah, which is very good. So I got some pictures, Chez Tara. And then you've got Taha and Raiatea. I mean, these guys eke a bit of a living, don't they? And this is a very famous coral garden where you glide down here, and there's these bloody shagging pods there. But and Bora Bora is full of them. They know how to ruin it. It's full of Americans who go there on honeymoon for 2 weeks. I mean, and they're loud. Yes, quite. So we rented a little mini moke and zoomed around. And this guy, I had 3 girls with me and me. This guy ignored me completely all the time, and just kept giving them more fruit. And because it's the vanilla island, those of you who know Taha. So every vanilla pod has to be hand pollinated. There are no bees that will do it. So this chap here, weirdo, he spends every morning, because you got to wait for the sun to open the pods, and then you pop it all in, and then you go and have another beer. So then Bora, which actually we've come to like it. Actually, we thought it was terribly touristy relative to everywhere else, but we found really good spots now, and so we're a bit less cynical. So I don't want to ruin anyone's thoughts about coming on the rally. We'll find you good spots. There's a couple of really good restaurants we found. And then Mopiti, which you've seen. So Mopiti is as far west as you really want to go. There is one more, Mopiha, but it's only got 2 people who live on it, and you got to be careful, because we came in this lovely benign conditions, and stayed 3 or 4 days, and then boy, the wind started to get up, and we thought, let's get out of here. Well, we got out of that pass as fast as I've ever had that yacht go. I mean, there was water all over the deck. We were doing 12 knots across the ground. Charles Glanville was trying to film, but he fell over, and so that's why I had to show someone else's film. So you gotta keep your wits about you. Then we had the most gorgeous sail back. So although it was really rough, a lot of whales. September, October is whale season, and loads of whales. So Mopiti, what we love about French Polynesia is they're really proud of how they live. They're a bit unlike the Caribbean. Caribbean, they're poor and they want what you've got. Here, they're poor and they don't want what you've got. They don't look at your outboard and think, oh, I like that outboard. They're just happy. And as far as I know, very little theft. I mean, I rented a moped because we were having, had to go back and forth from the yard. And I said, "Does this cover theft?" And they said, "What?" They just don't do that sort of thing. So eating and drinking, this is the important bit now. So you vary from the Tuamotus. This is Fakarava. This is her kitchen. And you just go and say, "Would you cook us a meal?" And she says, "Well, if you can find 10 people, I'll do your," and then they do your feast. And this is anyone who's been there, Tao, Gaston, and Valentine. They have one thing on the menu, which is lobster. If you don't like lobster, you better go look somewhere else. That's Ian Davis there. And so, but then you go to Tahiti, and it's relatively more sophisticated. And then you go to Raiatea. I know one of you, Caroline, you're hauled out there. I mean, fish in blue, I could just go there every night, That's where we met. The Kirkpatricks, the Sealeys, it's like a melting pot of everyone enjoying really good food. So then, yeah, you got to do your own fishing. We never fish within the reef. You do not want to catch reef fish. So we only go for tuna, mahi-mahi, yellowfin tuna. We caught a lovely big yellowfin tuna last time. It annoys Sal, you see, because we have to cater for the moment you leave, because there's a carrefour right outside our mooring, and that's it. That's the last shop you'll see. So of course she fills everything up and has every meal planned, and then I go and catch a nice big tuna, and that really screws it up. So what happens when it goes wrong? Well, it goes wrong a lot. People are, and I hate to be sort of dismissive because it could be coming to me soon, but we were anchored here, and this guy, we met him in the yard. He said, "Oh, I was fiddling my furler, and I wasn't paying attention where I was going." Bang, he's on the reef. I'll show you the next picture. They hold him off, but it's not ceremonious. And we were then in the yard next to a 55-foot brand new Ultra Mare catamaran. He'd been doing 11 knots downwind in the Tuamotus. He went down to make a cup of coffee at night, and he just didn't look where it's going. He hit Kaukura smack on. And he said, "Oh, I wasn't very accurate on the charts." We said, "Sal, my wife's fairly direct." She said, "But what the hell were you doing 11 knots, 300 yards from a reef?" Well, yeah, he should have thought of that. And it's £1.5 million refit. Worst of all for him, a 2-year refit, which means his brand new boat's out of action. So what do? They haul you off. There's one tug, you phone them up, and that's this boat that I just showed you. We watched that, and they just pull him off, and there's no other way. It's not like here where you'll get, bags and things. They just yank you. So you don't get it wrong is the message. By the way, out of Raiatea, we came across some American, some of you may be aware that red and green is the other way around in America. These guys set off from Dream Yacht Charter, smack into a reef. Oh, we thought green meant leave it on the port. No. Anyway, so they then asked if they could have another boat. They were told where the airport was. They'd ripped the bottom out of, and worst of all, instead of then trying to beach it, they went to deeper water, so they properly sank it. This is your favorite restaurant, Steve. This is what they wear. It was her birthday, the one on the left, but it's just great. They're not dressing. They're not dressing for us. And then what else do we go for? Well, sea life and coral. My brother-in-law, I mean, what a dick. He spent 5 weeks with us and never swam once. He said, "I don't like swimming with fish." What? My wife is a fish. I mean, she spends most of the time. If you're afraid of sharks, you've got a problem, because they like to come and look at you. But the sea life is amazing. Someone said, how did you take that picture with the reflection? I said, I didn't even notice the reflection. But that's Fakarava South Pass. I mean, unfortunately on the rally we would not get Fakarava, but it's maybe it's worth flying up there or something. It's the best diving in the world. So a lot of whales in September, October. These are all the fish and sea anemone. Got loads of them. Oops, why am I not getting action here? Oh, there we go. Very hard to get the colours with the camera. That's my only gripe. Lots of eagle rays. Anyone know what a group of eagle rays is called? A fever, apparently. And that's a manta ray. So here we go. Watch this. So this is Mopiti. They're all just floating, waiting to be cleaned. And the fish know to swim inside their mouth and pick them without knowing they're going to get eaten. Which nature's extraordinary like that. Sorry?
The ninja rays.
This is manta rays.
Yeah, they're a specific type of ninja ray.
Oh, you'll be on my pay grade. So I have a word of warning. When you go to Maria, actually they don't really like you feeding them anymore, but I was given this bag of bacon. Don't carry a bag of bacon. Christ. They can smell you. And they're coming at you. So, and then this time we swam with the whales. You can hear them sitting on the boat because the males sing for females. So what they do is they come to, they're born in French Polynesia. They fatten up the babies. So they drink the mum's milk, 100 gallons a week. I know some of you are looking a bit shocked. And then they go down to Antarctic, 7,500 kilometers, and they feed all through the year, and then they come back to breed. So the males are wanting to mate, and the females are, because their gestation period is a year, so they're either about to mate or about to breed. This male wanted to breed. I can tell you, I know why. But it was quite long. But also, he's singing. Only the males sing. They're about 2 meters, the thing that matters on these whales. So apparently they have about 6 songs. And what's interesting is they live about 90 years. And because they haven't been hunted for so long now, they're not afraid of humans. Whereas the ones in the Arctic are older, and they don't like humans because they remember. And because the trouble is they come up to breathe. So as they're coming to the surface, they blow the water out. And of course, in Polynesia and warm air, the water just disappears. In the Arctic or Antarctic, the water hangs there, in the cold air. And of course, that for the whalers, that was off we go, game on. So that's why they got hunted. But the thing that's really changed, apparently, is that the market's changed. So the young Japanese don't like whale meat. It's disgusting stuff. It is disgusting stuff. And of course, there's no market for oil to put in lamps anymore. So, they're not being hunted. And so this is great news. So, so a few recommendations. One, get a headset. I mean, God, it's a marriage saver. I mean, none of this shouting. I owe Nick and Jenny, those of you who know Nick and Jenny Stewart, absolutely. I watched them so calm, chatting away. I went, we've got to have those, got to have them. Google Earth, you need Google Earth. Navionics is good, but not that great. There's no charting going on. We lay tracks, and I taught a very simple trip by a fellow yachty, which is always go slightly to the left of your track and lay left, and then lay right on the back, and then in between you're safe if the cloud comes in.
So long as you remember to follow it on the way out.
Yes. No. And also here the coral doesn't fly. I gather it does. And it does it. Ah, good. So I mean, in Polynesia, it's like we're hitting coral with your propeller. It's going to happen. It's when. Try and do it slowly. and we call it a Polynesian tattoo. I've got it on the keel, but luckily we've just copper coated, so I've covered it up. Overspec your anchor. That's why I believe wherever I want to sleep full night, set your anchor alarm. I love having a local fixer who does all my stuff. Lots of patience in French Polynesia. They just don't understand rush stuff. I mean, oh my God, they make the Spanish look speedy. They love you if you speak some Polynesian, and you really need a bit of French, ideally. Then never eat the reef fish, the parrotfish. We met some people who caught ciguatera. So ciguatera is a poison that builds up in fish, reef fish, not on pelagic fish, and they're not affected by it. So if you get it, you get this nervous shaking. It's like flu, and lasts a couple of months. I mean, people die of it, but not many. And it's not worth it. You know, the first time we went there, we ate Sal ate parrotfish. I didn't, and I went. I just don't know how you can risk it. You know. So and then my daughter was coming this evening, so I was going to say you've got to have busy, active watchkeepers. You know, because a lot of it's just sitting around in the heat. So that's roughly the end of it. A little bit about the rally. So you can only charter in one place, and that's Raiatea. And then there's 2 charter companies. That's it. Mostly cats. There's a sort of coral sand area outside where you rent from, and it's called the cat litter because that's where all the cats anchor. They sit there with their aircon on, and you know they just don't go anywhere. They're just, oh, we're in French Polynesia. You just think, for God's sake, get exploring, you know. So we could usefully do Raiatea Taha, which is all one, Huahine, Bora Bora, and Mopiti, but you know, even that, you probably need 2 weeks. I know the Peters has already booked their 2 weeks, so we might do it around them. So that's it from me, really. Any questions or? Fly.
When you're going
Fly.
no.
We go LA and then Papeete. So it's the same aircraft usually, but you have to get off because they refuel. And the Americans want you to go through customs and back out again. It's ridiculous, but that's the way it is. It's about 22 hours in all, about 10 to LA, and you know, so it's a long way, but we kind of zone in, and you know, I think the food these days on long haul is much better than it used to be. The movies are really good, and and then we sleep half the way, and then when you get there, it's 5:30 in the morning. It's hot, you know. There's no time for jet lag. There's just, you know, the first time we got there, you see, I bought the boat blind off this member, and so I'd never seen it. And so I arrived at the marina, which is 10 minutes from the airport. I said, you know, is there an oyster 49? No, I don't think so, no. I thought, oh, Jesus, I've been scammed, you know. And, oh, that boat, yeah, that's over there, you know. So we're on a mooring now. We used to be in the marina. The moorings, you know, getting quite expensive. It's about 140 quid a month. So, you know, it's bearable. Yeah. The worst bit is they've used to be able to be there tax-free for 3 years, which meant you get all your parts flown in tax-free, your diesel's tax-free, and now it's 2 years. So they've shrunk it down because they realise they're losing out. And you used to be able to also go to the Cook Islands for 1 day and then come back and then do another 2 years and reset the clock. But they figured that out, so you have to be out for 6 months. So we thought, hell with it. We'll just pay the tax. It's 7% of the perceived value. So we got a surveyor who said, "Oh, that's a lovely boat." No, you're the wrong guy for me. Have you not seen the engine? And I mean, the teak decks, they're made of wood. And so we managed to get the price down with someone else, and then we paid 7%. So now we're there for as long as we want to be.
Do you pay that every year?
No, that's it. We're Polynesian now.
The import.
Yeah, we're done. So we're a local boat, which means we can't import stuff tax-free. But
How long have you been there for?
boats, we've been there 4 years, so we've had it 3. Some of you may know Kian Chung, you own it. Yeah, so he sold it to me, and then he bought a motorboat, and then he bought a bigger motorboat, and now he's got a little motorboat in Hong Kong, and he's been great. I mean, he had so many gadgets on it. I mean, you know, what's this switch do? Yeah, work it out. So, I put that in because, you know, this or that. He loved his gadgets. So he's been really, really good to buy it off a member, I have to say.
Sorry, a couple of questions. In terms of like weather readings and everything, were they pretty accurate, or were you thinking on your feet a lot of the time?
Where the
Just like your weather, like the weather accuracy in terms of like
weather's
reading everything,
nah,
was it really like
don't trust it
no,
because
okay.
they've got no weather station, so they're all algorithms. So one of the things we noticed is, you know, if it says it's going to blow from the east, and then it says it's going to blow from the west, then the algorithm says, well, it'll have to go north at one point. But of course, it doesn't go north, it just stops. So we suddenly think, oh, we're supposed to have a northerly wind today, but you don't get it. And you can't trust it. I mean, you can't trust it beyond the next squall. I mean, you get a feel. And of course, the prevailing winds are easterly or southeast. So if you got those, they're probably set in. And the little bit about the season. So April, May is what they call the shoulder season. So you get mixture of winds, which is good from point of view roaming around because you got to come back to base. And then from then it blows easterly, which is why they call it the coconut milk run, because everyone's on the way through. So June, July, August is busier, which is why we don't go there. And also we want to be here, you know. And also we don't want to go upwind, you know, we don't like going upwind. And then September, October again, it's quieter because all the rallies are through and gone. And so we like September, October. So if you're thinking of chartering outside the rally, September, October, or April, May, definitely the times to go, in my view. No, as a Brit, it's really annoying. You have to go in a different channel, but you get 90 days. In 90 days in 180, so it's not too bad.
In your opinion, what size of vessel would be the optimum boat to cruise around the...
Good question, Stuart. The problem you have with size is we're about as big as they will lift. There is one yard in Tahiti that will lift bigger, but it's owned by the Chinese, and they're really after fishing boats as a market, and they're brutal, you know. I mean, where we lifted Maratea, we actually had to shrink the fenders because we couldn't actually get in to get lifted. I mean, everything was just like, and their weight limits 19 tons. Oh, here comes my daughter. She's an ambler. Yeah, so we're right on the weight limit. In fact, I emptied the water tank. Well, you know, you want to then you can have any size, but you know, the problem is what if you need to be lifted? I mean, the next place is New Zealand. So we had friends, a lot of you know, Ian Davis went through on his Oyster 56. You know, his cutlass bearing went, and so he had to come all the way back to Tahiti upwind, and then, you know, persuade the Chinese to lift him just to change the bearing. So yeah, if you know your boat's well found and, you know, whatever, then that's fine. But there's really nowhere from, I'm Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but nowhere till you get to Fiji, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the only observation I have is that they talk about these coral walls, and they are exactly that. They're vertical, and you're either in 18 inches of water or 30 meters.
Yeah.
Because that's how the coral just how it grows. So depth in terms of getting in and out of places isn't a problem.
Yeah.
Depth once you're inside the reef isn't a problem. Exactly what Richard said. It's a land of perhaps deep sea fishing boats, no more.
Yeah.
And you just have to accept that that's the level of sophistication you'll get if you try and do any maintenance.
Yeah, that's the problem.
How about monohull versus catamaran?
Oh, touchy, touchy. You know, I mean, the cats, yeah. I like going, I mean, I don't like going upwind, but occasionally you have to go upwind. And the truth is, well, Richard Preborn, a lot of you know, he's absolutely persuaded on cats. So he sat with Tom Partridge and I over breakfast and tried to persuade us. And he left us absolutely unconvinced. Because, you know, you're sailing by the numbers. So 18 knots, reef, this and that and whatever. On my boat, I can be down below and I see the waters rising above the window on the hull. I think, time to reef. You know, I don't need to look at any numbers. I can just feel it. And she doesn't like leaning. You know, she's got a certain leaning point. She goes well. So, whereas on a cat, you've got to have the numbers up there. But space-wise, you know, those that love cats say, well, you spend 90% of the time at anchor. I think they're better boats at anchor because you get less of a rock. So when we get up to Marquesas, everyone's been warning us, you know, you're going to get used to the old rocking in the bays because there are no reefs to protect you. So, you know, and people like the Baileys have just gone from an Oyster 485 to a cat. I mean, and they're both obviously keen sailors, very good sailors. I did warn them that the escape hatches on they bought a Fontaine Pajot, so there were two couples in the Marquesas while we were out there this time, and their escape hatches are made by a company called Goya, and they're unreliable. They're on a recall. But these people have bought the boat secondhand, so they didn't know about that. They were sailing along, and the hatch fell out. So, you know, one hull filled up so fast that they flipped, and all they had was two paddle boards and an EPIRB, and that was it, between two couples. No water, nothing. No life raft, it was all under the boat. And luckily for them, they had updated their info with Falmouth a month before. And so Falmouth put two and two together and thought, you wouldn't update your info and then suddenly declare an emergency. So it must be genuine. So they sent a fishing boat out from the Marquesas to try and find them, and they found them. And they'd been afloat on a paddleboard each for 18 hours, and they had nothing, no passports and nothing. And so I phoned the Baileys actually and said, you know, it's actually more serious than just a leak. And they said, oh, ours is leaking. And I said, well, you know, get it fixed. But that's, most people are glassing over their escape hatches. Why do you need an escape hatch? You know, if you're going to go right over, then, you know, you've got a problem, but you can dive out, you know. Nothing worse than a bloody hatch coming off.
Richard, I think you said earlier, that you do a lot of sailing at night, and I'm going to explain later on why.
Oh, yeah, I didn't. God, you can tell he's a rear Commodore sailing, can't you? Yeah. So basically, you've got to enter atolls in good light. I mean, that I hope I got across. And it's very hard to leave an atoll in the light and arrive in the same day in the light because you need light overhead, not just daylight. In fact, the worst light is actually into your eyes. So we tend to leave at night, sail sometimes quite slowly because we've only got 50 miles to go, and then get the good light overhead coming in again. And so, for instance, Maria to Huahine is 85 miles. So that's a nice overnight, easy peasy. It's lovely sailing at night. There's no light pollution. There's nothing to run into. You don't see a ship or a boat or a nothing. If you do, so everyone wakes up with excitement. You know, it's just so weird. The night sailing, you know, some people don't like night sailing, but personally, I got my star app and I'm, you know, looking at because don't forget the stars aren't the ones we're looking at. We're in the southern hemisphere here, so you know it's really fascinating to look at the stars. Sorry. Yeah.
I'd just like to mention part as I am in respect of fast cats, Puget
Tango is the boat to look up. We do 30 knots. So we can go against the wind. The point is, you did mention the French manufacturer of escape hatches. And having, and I've seen damage caused by this. I'd just like to say that I think that it's poor manufacturer often of the immediate structural support of the hulls around the hatches, which has caused problems in the past. And although I'm not French, I will speak to the country. I've never seen a faulty hatch made by that company. I've seen lots of boats fully made. I reinforce that strength. Really fixed on it. There it on the outside side of the inside of the end. Big structure.
Yep, fair point. As you know, I'm not a cat expert. The one I would warn against is a Leopard 44. There were 4 Leopard 44s in the yard, all having their bulkheads reinforced because they don't use enough glass fibre. They bond them in with glue, and of course it's not easy to get the bulkhead, so they're having to drill holes in them. And so I met the guy next to us is actually the chairman of the Leopard 44 Owners Association, and having a big battle with Leopard over build. Quite short and sharp. I mean, 12 hours, but when it goes dark, poof. So I mean, on our boat, if the gin tonics are not on that table at 6 o'clock, my daughter knows, job number 1.
Just a bit of information about these escape hatches. ISO requirements required those escape hatches on all catamarans in Europe. They changed it, and they're now not required. So I realise it's a shortcoming. As the owner of the catamaran with escape hatches, we look at it pretty carefully.
Yeah.
And is there a cyclone season or an off season or a wet season?
Yeah, you don't get cyclones, touch wood, west of Maria, really. The off season is definitely November, December, January, February. That because it's hot, which is when we went. Wet, but not as wet as they make out. I mean, we had loads of beautiful sunny days, and of course it's quiet. So I wouldn't put people off, say, chartering in the off season. The problem is, there's not any restaurants that were there are definitely shut. So most people don't go December, January, Feb, and the on season is definitely June, July, August. But that's when the rallies go through. They all. What happens is they all go to Galapagos. They fill up with diesel, but it's not all diesel because they know you're not coming back. So if they could sell you a bit of water and pretend it's diesel, that's great, So they line up Marina Taina and they're all having their tanks scrubbed out and emptied, and it's just mayhem June, July, August. So if you're chartering or whatever, and that's really expensive time to go as well, so it's a double whammy. I wouldn't go then, but
I think the adage used to be that you never got typhoon cyclones quite well as well. The east of the Marquesas, anything from the west onwards, and that is obviously all of the Tahiti Society Islands, the Cooks, Tonga, Fiji, Vanuatu, all of that lot. You're either going to get them from the dying ends of the trades, or you'll get them coming up off the Australian east coast. But they get some really, really
bad ones. Yeah, Fiji. Oh,
in Fiji, in Niue, in Vanuatu.
Is that in that winter cycle? The December kind of
so that's
So November to April.
Yeah,
when the winds tend to start blowing from the east in that area as well. So if you want to go upwind, if you want to go to the Marquesas, that's the time to do it. And that's when Cook went that way with his Tahitian navigator.
Yeah, I mean in Buda Marina in Fiji, they actually dig a hole in the coral and drop your boat in it. So you're flush with the flush with the ground, put tires around you. It's all pretty basic, but you know, if you take everything off, like all the sails and everything, then you know you could get hit by flying metal from roofs, but it's a kind of risk you take. Yeah, I mean that's going to be our issue when we start going west. Is we don't want to just rush to New Zealand, which is what a lot of people do, because there's just so much to explore, you know. So we'll probably haul out in Buddha and drop it in a hole.
Richard, one last question. Must have probably answered this question. Is the dates of the 2027 rally actually fixed? He's charged the votes.
Were fixed, but
yeah, but not quite. I mean, I'll tell you why I put a range. I put a range because you know I'm not aware of maybe half-term issues or whatever. And just to be clear, so that I put you right, you're booked, but your wife tells me she can move the booking. So I know, you know, I know who's in charge, by the way, you know. So that's why, you know, we only dreamt it up about 2 weeks ago, the cruising meeting. You know, that's how cruising works. And so we've left a little range there. We're going to be there, so you know, we'll try and formulate a. I mean, it might be interesting to say, does, you know, are there any people who already think they might be interested in coming on the rally? Oh, okay, wow, okay, cool. Yeah, well, there we go. Yeah, there's a do for 46. Lots of multi-hulls. And actually, I have to say, I thought the price, you know, I never looked at charter pricing before, but you know, they're not unreasonable. In April, May. If you go June, July, whoa, starts to really rock it up. So
Lucy said that. I haven't been told what the price is.
you're not paying.
It's very cheap, Ross. Very cheap. Richard, thank you very much.
That's all right.
Indeed. I think it's been fantastic. I really enjoyed it. And I've learned a lot. And we're not cancelling. We're definitely going. It's great. I'm sure if you bought Richard a drink, he'd answer more of your questions. But we'd like to move forward to the bar and the restaurant. But can we? And it's great to see so many people want to. Michael, sorry, do you want to say?
Well, no, I was just going to say the same thing, actually. Thank you, Richard. Our new star of stage and screen, right? Or say on talk radio or whatever you're on earlier, which is actually very good.
Was it? I didn't hear it.
I think, as Richard said, that the idea of going out has only come about relatively recently. I think we kind of need to know, we need to work it out fairly quickly whether this is a runner. We're going to, Richard's there, I think Richard and Sally are there until about sort of April, May of 27.
Yeah.
If we don't go then, we're not going to do it with Richard. And it kind of fits the timetable. So we'll be sending out a sort of a questionnaire probably within the next few days. Just trying to ascertain what the interest is. We have already looked at, you know, we've looked at what you can charter. I think it's incumbent on us to come up with a sort of a skeleton itinerary fairly quickly, because whilst April 27 feels like a long way off, it's really not. We're going to have to really get booked fairly quickly. You know, April next year, all the charter boats are gone. We've got all the issues of getting flights and whatever. So I think we really do want to try and pull this together and know within the next sort of 2 or 3 months, is this a runner?
Oh, it looks like it is.
I think it is based on what we had. So I just say thank you very much, Richard. It was really an excellent.
And I'd like to add too, on flights, we use a really good woman called Claire Dialer Flight. So if any of you need, like, they get paid by the airlines, because there are a lot of little tricks about getting out there and making sure you know the connections are good, because it's French Polynesia. Things are not quite, you know, so organized. So if you and I would use it for I use it for all my flights, for everything. So don't hesitate to get me in touch on that. Oh, I was going to say, so dinner's through there. Those that you don't know, why don't 15 people lead the way? Are you eating, Michael? Jolly good. You're very welcome. Good.
That was great. Thanks very much.
Okay. Hi, Dom. How are you? It's very much not an RCC.
No,
There's no snow.
there's no snow, no ice, no heat.
Right.
Well done, Richard. That was really good. Loved it.
Great.
We're probably going to skedaddle home. We've got my eldest son there at the moment.
Ah, okay.
So I was hoping he'd join us, but he's not.
Ah.
But we probably do need. So what do you think? I mean, we should talk over the next few days, right? Just listening to all that, right?
Yeah.
If you're with
That was
Charlie,
brilliant. Well done.
Oh, good. Okay.
Brilliant talk. Brilliant. Really enjoyed it.
I mean, is it tenable if the charter company's going to say you can't do overnight cruising?
Definitely get a
You're not supposed to sail at night. But who's to check? Also, you don't. Apart from Maria, you don't really need it around that area because they're all 25 miles apart. So
That's probably what we should do. I mean, we should sort of
yeah, because
that
you
works,
know you don't really want to spend your time traveling. So
and I think we might be in a bit of a pickle if we put out an itinerary and ask people to travel doing overnight stuff and they're not supposed to. So, I mean,
but actually, anyway. Oh, good. Are you going to stay for supper? Okay. Nice to see you. Well, some of that you already knew.
Amy.
hi, Michael.
Nice to see you.
Oh, good. Okay.
What idea about rally?
Yeah, it'll be fun. Oh, I might be allowed a glass of wine.
Are you going to circulate the slides?
Am I what?
Are you going to circulate? It's possible to get a copy
Yes.
of your
Yes, I've recorded it.
Yeah, really good. Yeah.
Because
Or
some
you can use
people.
the printed thing.
Yeah, I could do a printed version. Well,
Yeah.
the PowerPoint.
Send it via Europe. You can send it.
Okay.
I sent you a text. My wife was late. Other things I won't bore you with, but I look forward to an exclusive. I should buy you dinner.
Right again. Apparently the dancing was the other thing you should have mentioned, according to Grace Foot.
Dancing.
You don't know about dancing? Got to talk to Grace about it.